We see waved yellows and safety car boards, which to me indicates I think we're going to be looking at a safety car start here, Leigh.
And that's actually quite disappointing, to be honest, because I think the conditions are still more than good enough that they could be able to get out for a standing start, or for a regular start after their normal 2 laps of on 2 warm-up laps. No police cars.
No. I may be mistaken, but not having the facility to sit in on the driver's briefing this weekend, we see the safety car pull away. We see the green lights, and the lap counter on the right-hand side goes from the pre-race start to 66 laps to go. So. I'd be starting on wets here, Leigh. I think I'd be starting on wets, and I wouldn't be in a hurry. I think anybody starting on slicks is going to be taking too much of a risk. And I think I'm led to believe the Hatsune Miku car has definitely swapped to slick tyres. Very, very, very last-minute decision. Very, very, very brave decision. And so it's a very, very, very damp circuit out there in the Chang International Raceway. And you can see the spray is coming up from the cars. Now, I actually must say, it's not... I know we've got a staller. The number 24 car has stalled on the grid, and they're going to be passed by the entire field. Yeah, that's the Forum Engineering GT500 Nissan that's stalled there. We have actually started the race, so it is a safety car start. The race has begun. And so the 24 Forum Engineering car will go right to the back of the field, and they're being pushed into the pits. That's an awful, awful, awful start, unfortunately. Yeah, he's being pushed to the opposite, being pushed off the grid, yes, into the pit lane there, and the race has started, so they'll have a go at fixing that car. I just think the engine sounds like it's running, but obviously he's got no drive. Could be a drive shaft gone. Sasaki
in that car at the moment. JP Oliveira, we saw on screen just a moment ago, looking just not even frustrated, but just kind of, it's really the last thing you want. And it's 300 kilometers. This is not a long race. It's going to be very, very difficult for that gap to be made up. As we see the rankings on screen now, Matsuda and Quintarelli leading the championship with 59 points. Then Hirakawa, Cassidy on 49. Then Oshima, Caldarelli 48. Rossiter on 47. Of course, his teammate Nakajima missed one of the rounds. It was clashed with WEC earlier on this year, as Tachikawa and Ishura on 43 points. So it's actually, with the 23 car starting down in 11th, it's not inconceivable that the pack behind them, and then you have that 10-point gap, the gap behind them could actually pull together. As you see the GT300 drivers, it's Hirasawa and Gamu on 52.
I think it's just starting to dry from the outside there, Leigh. If you just look at the colour of the tarmac on the outside of that's turn 9, I think we were looking at there, you can see that the track is just starting to dry, so the drivers will quickly be switching to slicks as soon as they get a sniff, as we see the driver of the former engineering car there walking away. So yeah, unfortunately we've lost one of our GT500s without completing a lap here.
I'm curious as to why the safety car is still out, because it's not a wet track by any stretch of the imagination. We have had wet running, well, damp running at least, so far this weekend. So I can understand if some of the drivers would want or appreciate some acclimatization, as one of the Nismos going almost off the track on the coming out the final corner. And there we see the 24 Forum Engineering car. There's not really a whole lot of work being done there. That's going to be a very, very disappointing trip abroad for them. The track is, I mean, it's damp, it is very wet. There was a heavy downpour, but it is actually it has dried up a little bit since then. If you go offline, it's still going to be pretty wet. And we do see a lot of puddles actually more or less collected on the runoff areas as opposed to the actual track.
Yeah, opened in 2014. This is a relatively new circuit, and as with lots of these new circuits, is a lovely shot, just big acres, big fields of tarmac on the runoff, and as you say, Leigh, yes, the water does gather on there. A nice shot of the pack coming down towards us there shows us
For spectators, sorry, that are new to the series, the GT500s have predominantly white lights, and the GT300s, if they have their headlights on, are yellow headlights. So if you're watching Super GT for the first time, GT500s, the quicker cars running with white headlights, and GT300s led by the Audi we can see there on screen, yellow headlights.
And one of the things I'm actually quite curious about, because I'm not really seeing this in Super GT, as actually you look just on the exit of the hairpin there is some rivers on the exit, some of the corners, but the track itself is still, I think, relatively in decent condition. At this race could probably actually start.
Yeah, I'm now looking at the lights on the safety car. As soon as we see the lights go out on the safety car, and that might be supplemented by a message we see on screen, safety car in this lap, that's the moment we'll be going racing. So
now, normally in a Super GT race, at the start of the race, the two packs of the GT500s and GT300s will split out, and you'll get a separate GT500 start than the GT300s. As we get the message safety car is in this lap, the GT300s will form their own pack, and I think that's exactly what's going to happen. We are going to see them formation 2 by 2, and the packs, we will have 2 separate packs. We'll have 2 separate starts for this race, as it were, the GT500s. As we see the keeper Toms, the pole position running, that's Cassidy, Nick Cassidy, the 23-year-old in that car, and looking to get
oh, look at the typical tropical conditions here in East Thailand today. Massive cloud formations, and you can see the thundery showers there on the horizon as we cut to the fantastic view from the helicopter.
This is going to drive very quickly, Rob. I think this is actually going to drive very, very quickly. You see Cassidy on pole there. Already one win this season. They won the opening race at Okayama. And will he put the boot down? Will he put the boot down? He does now. And it's the Cal Sonic car, the number 12 of Jan Mardenborough in second place there. But it's Takagoshi's under pressure from Caldarelli coming into turn 1. Not going to happen there. But it's Nick Cassidy leading at the moment as we get a 3-way battle that further down the grid.
That's Kohei. Oh, no.
That is the number 36 AU car, passing the 64 Epsom for position, going down the inside as the 300s start their race, and it is the 21 Audi holds the lead going into turn 1. We probably won't see a huge amount of kind of push for positions on this opening lap, because you just won't actually make this first lap, and of course that immediately made a liar of me as we see passing down the pack.
Yeah, Bertrand Baguette looked, I think it was Bertrand Baguette, looked to be really struggling. Speaking of really struggling, that's our
motel.
That's our championship leader.
And
he's being passed by the GT300 cars. I wonder if they've started him on slicks.
Has he had enough? Or has he actually just gone off? I think he's struggling. I think he's struggling to get his foot down. He's not getting any pace whatsoever. Could he? Is it it's Ronnie Quintarelli in the car at the moment? Have they made a strategic error and put him on slicks?
By the look of the pace of those 2 slower GT500 cars being swamped by the GT300s, the only time we've seen this so far this year, Leigh, was when they started on slicks earlier in the year, and yeah, they're really struggling for mechanical grip. Under any other circumstances, you'd never see a GT300 car going past a 500, as we've got the cars coming through turn 12 onto the pit straight.
And they're not going to be able to, it's not even just a point of getting grip, they're not even going to get any temperature or any friction in those tyres whatsoever. Once the Zento car get on the straight, they're fine. It's just actually going through the corners, not being able to get any pace either. The GT300s will have them for dinner, and it's just it doesn't win you anything to be on slicks in these conditions.
You're right, it's going to dry. Look at the Keihin NSX on the racing line there. Hardly any spray at all. Then further back, the Wacos LC500 moved off the racing line, and huge amount of spray. So already conditions just starting to become less wet on the conventional racing line.
And Nohiri having a go at Tachikawa in the that's the Arta NSX having a go at the Zent LC500. That's for over 5th place. But yes, the Wacos car already moving onto the damp part of the circuit. So the tyres wouldn't be overheating already at this early stage, would they?
They won't be overheating, but the drivers will be thinking and planning ahead. It's no use having a brilliant set of tyres now, where in 10 laps time you're really going to struggle. So no, already the driver's thinking, and yep, as we saw, or as we saw on the warming up lap, as they come through that long kind of spoon curve at turns 5, 6, they're yeah, just starting to dry. Wipers still on though in the biggest possible way.
Meanwhile, we haven't seen the leaders much recently, as we're watching this battle for 5th and 6th place, and 3rd and 4th and 5th and 6th, as they come around together. And I think Nigeria is going to have a go this time round. Will he try to go down the inside of Tachikawa? I think he is. He's having a look. Doesn't quite have the pace to do it there. It's definitely drying up, but the problem now is the moment you get a wheel offline.
Yeah, I was thinking that just looking as the drivers came through the middle of turn 1 there. Okay, it's beginning to become less wet on the racing line, but offline it's terribly, terribly aquatic.
And the Cahill car is actually pulled away a little bit from the 4th place Wayco's car. It's giving them a little bit of air. And the Wayco's car, I wonder if they're actually beginning to struggle just a little bit, because yes, you're thinking about the driver is making thoughts early about cooling the tyres down, but I think the Wayco's car is going to be under pressure from the Cent LC500 in just a few moments' time. I think they may be struggling a little bit in these conditions, as you see the windscreen wipers flapping away furiously. And that's obviously, it's not raining at the moment, it's quite dry, but what the drivers are getting is the spray coming up from the cars just in front of them, which hangs in the air for quite a few seconds. It's a battle there for 4th, 5th and 6th.
Blue sky ahead, and again looking at conditions through turns 9, 10 and 11, it's starting to dry from the outside there for sure.
And we're entering that greasy stage now. It's no longer just wet anymore. It's that kind of greasy emulsion kind of sitting on the circuit. It's not quite dry, but it's almost the worst conditions to a degree for a racing driver, as we see some of the GT300 cars now come into the play, as they're getting their lapped for the first time.
Exactly. So as we were talking about a moment ago, now we're going to see the GT500s being forced offline onto the wetter parts of the circuit as they make a move. Only 6 laps into the race, they're starting to lap now the slower GT300s.
And the number 37 Keeper Toms, it's Nick Cassidy leading this race ahead of Jan Mardenborough, the number 12 Calsonic car, and they're serenely just pulling away from the rest of the pack. Absolutely no worries whatsoever, as we see the Cahill number 17 car put a lap on the Gulf, and it's still the Wayco's car in 4th place. And the Zent, number 38 Zent in 5th place, the Arta number 8, that's the top 6 for you.
The drivers of the GT500s cars having to be terribly, terribly careful as they pass the 300s. Obviously the visibility is relatively limited in these conditions. The spray doesn't help the situation, and where you have multiple GT500s passing multiple GT300s, you've got to be so careful. The last thing you want to do is have a touch and pick up some damage. You know, we're still very, very early in the race still.
And of course, we see the leading the group there, the number 17 Cahill car. They're is that are they lapping?
They've just put they've just put a lap on the leader, Ronnie Quintarelli's GT500, which mustly have started on slicks. He must have started on slicks.
Well, the problem the Quintarelli has now is they can't bring him in to pin him for wets, because they're going to end up pinning him again in 4, possibly even 5, 6 laps time.
Yeah.
So they've kind of gone for a strategy to stick him on slicks. It hasn't worked, but they're too far gone to change it. There's nothing they can do. They've lost too much time. They've lost a lap, but they're going to lose even more time if they bring him into the pits. The pit stop here is going to be around about 1 minute's time.
Yeah. So even though it's a relatively short lap, the team will be able to come in, change wheels and tyres from wets to slicks, or from wets to intermediate, and they're still going to be able to get out long before he completes his lap. So hey, look, we might be proved wrong. Who knows? Perhaps they know more than we do, but it looks to me as if their gamble of looking to start on slicks has not paid off, unfortunately. And
it's not worked out either for the number 1 Denso car. They are almost a lap behind as it is. They are coming across the line last time round. They're 1 minute 23 behind. That's Heikki Kovalainen and Kohei Hirate in the Lexus Team Sard.
Again, we see all the wet runners now moving off the conventional racing line as they come to that long kink at turn 2, down to turn 3, trying to get some cooling effect of the water.
battle for second and third. In the GT300, we have the number 51 JMS RCF car. That's got Nakayama starting that, and it's a Hatsune Miku car. That's got Katsukauka in third place. They're challenging for second and third in GT300.
One thing that seems clearly is that the FIA GT3 cars here at Chang do have a slight advantage over the mother chassis or the JAP3 GT300 cars. Remember, there's 3 different types of car in GT300s, and the FIA GT3s, the Mercedes, the Lexus, they do seem to have a slight advantage in these conditions, he said, putting a big but on the end.
Now, another key point in this race is when the cars do eventually change the slicks, and we do think they'll be changing soon, as we see the gap between the second and third place cars in GT300 there. How do you treat the curbs?
Oh, you have to stay away from them. The tropical downpour we had will have seen a lot of rain come down, and the rain will be sitting in between the serrated edges of the curbs. Exit curbs, the deeper ones, yeah, they're going to have to stay away from. So yeah, we'll see drivers being very, very careful as they come out if they do change the slicks. And of course, Leigh, in this championship, no tyre heaters. So not only will it be terribly slippery, the tyres will be cold as well, and they're going to take a little while to get up to their 70 or 80 degree working temperature. We saw before the race started, we've got a track temperature in the 30 degree range. So yeah, it's going to take a while when we do get those move to slicks.
Meanwhile, at the front, you will see the gap between the leading cars is coming down as we're watching this fantastic GT300 battle. Again, it's still Nakayama in second place in GT100, heading Katakau for third place, and it's a Hatsune Miku car.
Oh, look at this, 3 abreast.
It's a dive down the inside, not quite worked there.
No, he's still putting a huge amount of pressure on the Lexus ahead. So, yeah, battles throughout the field, and I've still got one eye on the cars and one eye on the track surface, and it really is drying. It's drying quicker than I thought it would, to be honestly. You can see there, look, for the first time we've got a distinct dry racing line. Not only is it now drying offline, it's drying on the racing surface.
And it's going to be coming soon. The change to slick tyres. It may not be immediate, but it's going to be coming very shortly, I believe. As we see the battle in the for second and third place, it's captivating. The actual lead of the GT500 is not that, GT300 is not that far away.
And we've got a battle right at the front of the field as well between the 2 housemates, Nick Cassidy and Jan Mardenborough. They're separated by less than a second. It's a great shame that we're not watching that as well. But yeah, the GT300 battles here. And I think have we had a change for the lead? Yes, we've had a change. No, I beg your pardon, we haven't. That's a lapped car that that the Audi is coming down the inside of the B-Max Nissan there. So yeah, the Audi still leads, but it's a full-on thermonuclear battle for second here.
Very, very, very nearly a collision there between the second and third place cars in GT300, as we see some furiously flashing lights. But the Hatsune Miku car almost got too deep coming into the last corner. Is he going to try again? Not quite here. It's far, the left-hander is far too long and lean. As we see, the number 4 car goes for second place. Not quite going to do it there either.
Turn 5, turn 6, turn 7, they're coming through. Turn 6 now coming into turn 7, which is a fast right-hander. Then there's a short straight that leads down to turn 8. This is where the circuit is starting to dry. And there's the S-Road Mola car making the move to Michelin slicks.
First one of the cars that started on wets to change the slicks as the fuel goes in on lap 10.
Early doors for a change to slicks. We'll have to keep an eye on the timing screens to see whether that's a wise move. But yeah, I think that's going to be the first of many pit visits, Leigh, and I think that's about right, you know.
But the interesting thing, though, is does that kind of nail them into another stop later in the race, possibly around lap 40 or lap 45, as we see more overtaking in the pack there as the number 12.
So this is for the race lead.
This is for the race lead. This is Mardenborough in second place now, chasing Cassidy. And Cassidy, I believe, the gap has reduced because they're going through traffic now, and the gap to and froze, but the traffic is so thick at the moment that Cassidy can't actually get a break, as Martinborough chases and chases and chases in the number 12 Sonic GT-R.
I know Jan well enough to know that he's going to have a massive grin on his face at this point here. We see the keeper Tom's car moving offline there, right to the right-hand side. He's cooling his tyres. Jan staying more on the conventional racing line. So the Lexus in the centre of our screen, that's our race leader, the white car with the Red Bull sponsorship, and the Sonic car runs a little wide on the exit. Jan terrifically late on the brakes and just nibbled off the road a smidge.
Very nearly lost it though, admittedly. He got so far wide, his tyres were clearly all running off, and he actually almost lost on the exit of the corner, so he kind of fully rejoined the circuit. But very, very good car control from the Welshman. I see Nick Cassidy putting a lap on the Leon car. We do see someone go off and take one of the kind of a little distance marker boards with him.
The polystyrene marker boards there being moved aside by the Lamborghini, just forced offline. He was being a little too careful and maybe had one eye on his mirrors as the leaders came around to put a lap on him. But no, Jan Mardenborough doing a spectacular but great job chasing down the leader Nick Cassidy in his Lexus.
Meanwhile, championship leader in the number 23 Nismo, that's Matsuda. It's Ronnie Quintarelli in that car at the moment. They're down in 13th in GT500 at the moment. It's not worked well for them at all. Brave, but it hasn't come together. Nick Cassidy leading the race, 12 laps in the bag. It's Jan Mardenborough in the number 12 Sonic car, second place. The gap is only 7/10 of a second as they come across the line. This is going to be a ding-dong battle that we may see develop over the course of this race. Two very young drivers, future stars of this sport, and you know they're great friends, but it's also going to be a great rivalry. I think we'll see for quite a long time to go.
And this is just the thing that's so mega about Super GT. We've got multi-class racing battling nose to tail. We've got a battle for the race lead coming through multiple packs of GT300 cars. Why this doesn't get hundreds of thousands of spectators outside Japan and the Far East, I'll never know. You know, look at this, a full grid of spectacular fast GT cars separated by tenths of a second.
And I'll tell you something else, is number 17 Cahin NSX car is actually closing up to this battle for the lead, because Mardenborough and Cassidy have been held up to such a degree in traffic. That gap was 6 seconds. 6.5 seconds is now down to 3.8.
And another thing to throw into the mix, Lee, is of course the Cahin NSX is mid-engine.
Absolutely.
So how do the mid-engine cars compare to the front-engine cars in these conditions? The front-engine cars will have a little more weight over the two front contact patches of rubber. The mid-engine cars slightly better balance, as we see that Cahin car making a move the long way round the outside of the GT300 BMW, the bright orange car.
And going down the inside line to take some more of the 300 runners as we go onto the start finish straight. It's clean, it's good,
and it's still slippy. The leaders have committed to another lap on the wet, so they've stayed out for another lap onto lap 13 now.
But the interesting thing, obviously, the teams and drivers, would they have had an opportunity, because that downpour came so late? What is the changeover time? What lap times do you need to be setting to actually change over the slicks? Right now, the leaders are running in 1:33s, 1:32s. At what point do you change over? As we see, is the number 100, that's the Raybrick car pits. Are they going? Yes, they are going to slicks. You can see the slick tyres laid up there. It's the number 36 AU car.
And they're refueling as well. So they're taking not only tyres, but they're taking fuel as well. This seems terribly, terribly early. I think if they go now, they'll need a splash and dash before the end.
Possibly, but I also think they're probably banking on they were down kind of 8th, 9th, 10th place. Make the tyre change, throw in a little bit of fuel. As we see the gap between 4th and 5th in GT300 around half a second. It's a massive gaggle of cars, but they're taking a risk and probably seeing that, well, maybe we just run it a little bit lean. Still have to do a splash and dash later on, but it changes them from just a regular kind of pit stop strategy that will probably keep them in 8th, 9th, 10th place anyway.
And we have seen a safety car in most races of the season so far, so they will be making that gamble. But our leaders doing lap times in the 34s, 35 for the purposes of mathematics. Let's call a dry time around
Cassidy in the pits. Cassidy is in the pits.
So he's
as is Caldarelli. And we see the, is that the Motel car? Or no, sorry, that is the Zenz car. All pitting as well, so Mardenborough leads. Mardenborough has stayed out in the number 12 Nismo car. As we see the 37, this is the race, well, was the race leader to Keeper Tom's car with Nick Cassidy aboard. Is there a driver change?
The driver has stayed on board. Fuel is going in. Rear tyres have been changed. They'll change the front tyres as soon as the fuel comes out. There we go.
But this also makes me think, are we going to see the whole field having to commit to maybe actually just do a second stop later on?
They're going to have to do a second stop to change the driver.
Well, absolutely, yes, there is that. But would anyone be brave enough to stay out long enough to actually try and... Do you risk leaving it to maybe, say, lap 20? Or could you even go that long as to see the Zent car leaving the pits now?
So now we've got cars leaving the pits on cold slicks on a damp track, and just look at the body language of the Keeper Tom's car. They're so tentative as he leaves the leaves the pit lane, almost no mechanical grip at all.
It's something we see in DTM as well, who also got rid of the tyre warmers this year. It's kind of aligning themselves with GT500 rules for the future Class 1 regulations. No tyre warmers there. They often lose 3 to 4 seconds a lap on the out lap, and this is exactly what we're probably going to see here. I think the average loss for a GT500 car on new tyres is around 3 to 4 seconds, and they're just going to be squirming around, and it's going to be worse than normal because it is not a perfectly dry track. It's it's still, you can see a little bit of damp, greasy bits on the apexes of the corner, so it's not going to be perfect conditions either. 30 degrees out there, so it's a warm day, but it's only 36 degrees track temperature before the start of the race. As the number 12 Calsonic car comes into the pits, Jan Mardenborough changing from wets onto slicks. Yes, he is. It's the Bridgestone slicks. Mardenborough stays in the car. They have fueled up. He is sent out, good to go. But will he come out ahead of Nick Cassidy, who's done a lap on slick tyres already? Now, it's not just getting the tyres up to temperature, it's whether the conditions were actually good enough for Cassidy to get a decent lap in as he comes around the start-finish straight. I think Mardenborough may well be ahead as they exit the pits. Oh, he's there, and I think Cassidy has done it.
Yeah, Cassidy's going to get by because, of course, Jan is in that situation we were talking not only 30 seconds ago, Lee.
The gap is actually extended quite significantly, I think. I think that was probably a very, very, very good outlap there from Cassidy to extend the lead over Mardenborough.
So there we know the changeover time was about a 1:34. So the drivers will very quickly now be coming down. Their lap times reducing by 7 or 8 seconds, coming down to 1:27s, 1:26s.
Meanwhile, the now new leader is the number 64 Nakajima Racing. It's Bertrand Baguette at the wheel of that car in the NSX, and he's leading. But they have not pitted. It's number 8, Arta NSX in P2. They have not pitted either. And of course, we have several cars at the back of the field who started on slicks who have not pitted either. But they are the several cars at the back have already lost a lap, unfortunately.
Yeah, we saw that when the drivers made the change from the wets to the slicks, they lost less than a lap. So yeah, unfortunately for those guys that rolled the dice to start on slicks, that hasn't paid off.
Absolutely not, absolutely not. As we see, and as the Cahin car ahead of the Wacos. That's Takakoshi ahead of Caldarelli. Is Caldarelli going to make a move down the inside of the final corner?
On the damp, on the damp, on the damp.
And that's the risk. You're now on slicks. The offline, it is still a little bit damp. I think Caldarelli may actually have the inside run this time round to get 5th place. And he does. Well done. Wacos into 5th place. That's going to become 3rd when the top 2 finally do their pit stop. But that is a key move for the Wacos man.
And brave, you know, he had 2 wheels on the damp part of the circuit, and yeah, as we see him already just putting a little bit of clear air between that Lexus and the Honda now, so a couple of car lengths there, so looks like he has the pace on dry setup.
You can see the Wacos car now continuing to lap the GT300 field, but he has put a second or so ahead of Takakoshi already, and I wonder maybe if Takakoshi's just struggling a little bit getting the tyres up to temperature, and that's cost him a little bit of time. We're now in lap 17. Yes, he had an extra lap.
Yeah, we saw that most of the leaders did their pit stop on lap 13. The guys that went a lap later, they are struggling to get their temperature in the tyres. We see the GT300 Lamborghini there running a little wide onto those curbs, which, as we saw, still are holding a lot of water in that serrated concrete.
Well,
welcome to Super GT, Leigh. How's it working out for you so far? This is relatively standard. For those viewers that are new to us, if you're loving this as much as Leigh is, please feel free to click like, click subscribe. We are here for every round of Super GT, and well, we hope you're enjoying the racing as much as we are.
And do indeed like this page and come back for more later on in the year, as we see the number 6, the Waycross car, 5th place, just set the fastest lap of the race so far. It's a 1 minute 28. Those lap times are coming down, down, down. Interestingly enough, that was 2 seconds faster than Martinborough, as we see the Leon car in 6th place has just taken the number 51
yeah,
JMS.
That was Hiroki Kurosawa in the Mercedes, making a move up the GT300 field. Hiroki, ex-British Formula 3 driver, of course.
But yeah, interestingly enough, to see Caldarelli take 2 seconds out of Martinborough that time around, and I wonder if Martinborough is maybe struggling for grip in these conditions as well, or is it just a case of traffic he's getting caught in?
It could be grip, could be traffic, and if you are forced just ever so slightly offline, that has huge implications on the timing screen. The most marginal of lifts off the dry line onto the wet line, it sets you back not tenths of a second, but big chunks of time.
As we see the remnants of a destroyed marker board there is the number 36 AU car with James Rossiter as the front of that pack, 7th place at the moment. They're running 4th in the Rossiter's running 4th in the championship with 47 points, 12 behind the series leader in the number 23 NISMO. They're looking for a big result today, but 7th place is not going to be the big points haul that they need.
I was just looking at the calculator logo on my computer, thinking I should really look at the calculator logo and think about the championship table, because our championship leader is right at the back of the pack, and we see all those chasing Lexuses. They're ahead.
You see the number 61.
Yeah, GT300 making his change from wets to slicks.
Interestingly enough, Rob, I mean, it's something I'm sure you've come across with other racing drivers before. They often talk about what, as we see the pit stop. Oh my word! The Jackman got an absolute whack there, and still managed to land on his feet. So well done.
He's gonna feel that in the morning. Good job those guys wear helmets.
I think
all joking apart nowadays.
I think he'll feel that now.
Yeah, this is true. This is true.
And so we see the Motul car recovering, but it's still a lap behind, and it's an unfortunate strategy.
Oh, they've ended up in unlucky 13th position after that roll of the dice earlier in the race.
It hasn't worked out at all so far. One thing I was about to mention is we saw the number 36 car with James Rossiter. We kind of think to yourself, you can't, well, if you had only just got this result or that result, maybe you'd be higher up in the championship, and you can't really say, well, if I didn't have that engine failure or if I didn't have that puncture. But at the same time, the number 36 car has actually been involved in a couple of incidents this year.
It has, yeah.
Primarily with the number 1 Denso car, particularly in the first few rounds. We say that they're 6th in the championship. They are 18, he's 4th in the championship, 12 behind the championship leader. There's a lot of points they've actually thrown away in silly, unnecessary on-track incidents this year, and that's where you kind of curse yourself a little when you're kind of at this end of the season and you're just running 7th place in the race.
Of course, they've shown race-winning pace. The Lexus for the first half of the year was almost unbeatable, yet the Nissan, up until today, is the top of the shop in terms of championship points table. So yeah, you're right, for Rossiter it's a case of what could have been. James, a tremendously successful and competitive British racing driver. That boy only knows one speed, and yeah, he's like a metronome in that Tom's AU car.
You see, interestingly enough, Baguette in the number 64 Epson car still actually hasn't pitted. Now, Nick Cassidy has actually passed the number 8 Arctic car into second place overall, second place in the GT500 class. The number 8 car still hasn't actually stopped for new tyres yet. So I wonder if they're trying that strategy to try and eke those wet tyres out for as long as possible and then only make one stop.
Seems wise, and it also suggests that that mid-engine configuration of Honda is slightly kinder on its tyres than perhaps the front-engine Nissan and Lexus.
And it's an easier balance as well because the weight is distributed in a more even way across the car. Meanwhile, the Hitsuyama car is leading the GT300 class. Got a 12-second gap, so quite a good run.
Sorry, I paused for a moment there because in the background I saw a car running straight on into pit lane. I was trying to see if that was our leader.
And it is... Not.
That's a GT300 Lexus coming in for not only a tyre change but also a driver change. So that we're into the window now where we're changing drivers. So this could be the single stopping strategy.
Absolutely, this is exactly what we were referring to only a few moments ago. As if you can pit now, get your driver change done, fuel up to the end of this race, you will not have to pit again. And remember, when we are pitting for fuel and tyres, you're losing the guts of a minute to a minute 10 in the pit lane. So you may actually lose some pace on track because you're going slower on worn tyres, but you're gaining a minute by not having to pit a second time.
Spot on, Lee, spot on. And not only worn tyres, they are properly worn out tyres. If you just caught a glance as I did of the left front tyre there, the tread on the inside of the tyre, well, it almost looked like a slick.
The only drawback for this strategy is we see Baguette out front still on wet tyres is nearly, it's like 4.6, 4.7 seconds a lap slower than Cassidy at the moment. Marmer, by the way, is back up the speed. He's in the one with the 27.2s. But Baguette is losing by 4.5 seconds a lap. So it'll be interesting to see where he actually falls into the pack. As you see there, the gap has come down to 16.2 seconds.
He stayed out for another one. He stayed out for another. Ah, they've got bodywork loose as well. Oh, come on. The Hondas have had a little bit of finger trouble with loose bodywork this season. Yeah. So, yeah, we see the front clam there loose on the driver's right. So the bonnet is loose. They're going to have to fix that when they come in for the pit stop.
Absolutely. And that's going to extend the pit stop even longer. So any gains they may have made may actually be lost when they come into the pit stop to fix that damage. And we saw that. I think it was at Fuji earlier on this year. It was, again, some of the Hondas had a little bit of finger trouble and one of the engine covers came off. I think it was the Raybrick car.
Yeah, Bertie Baguette running almost off the circuit there, looking for any standing water to cool what's left of his wet weather tyres down.
As you see the Leon AMG car running in fourth place in the GT300 at the moment, and he's just got the 55 Autobacks car just behind him. That's the battle for 4th and 5th place.
What's worth pointing out, Lee, sorry to interrupt, what's worth pointing out when we look for the battle of for the race lead, Bertrand Baguette, he stayed out the longest and he's the only driver on Dunlop tyres.
That is very interesting, actually. And they did not have a good qualifying. They did not have a good qualifying on Dunlop tyres, but it seemed to have actually dealt with those conditions quite well. As we see it's the Wacos car and the Kaling car coming to lap into some 300s as well. Back end of the circuit, and
I'm super keen for the...
that's Mardenborough, isn't it?
There, that was Mardenborough. This was our GT300 leader in. He's making his driver change now. That's Richard Lyons jumping out. I'm really keen to cut back to our race lead because I'm sure I saw the bonnet on Bertrand Baguette's Honda coming up on the left-hand side as well now.
And we see Mardenborough, maybe the time he lost earlier on. Caldarelli's still actually going much quicker than Mardenborough. Caldarelli's in the 26s, while Mardenborough's still very much in the 27s. So that time that Mardenborough lost, particularly early on in his stint, as you see the Hitaka Miku car come in from, I believe that was 3rd.
It was, yeah.
Class in GT300 class. Mardenborough has lost quite a bit of time, especially in the early part of that stint. It's actually brought Caldarelli into play in the number 6. Wacos Lexus.
Queuing Mercedes now in the pit lane as the GT300s come in for their driver and tyre changes. And again, the wets they're taking off have definitely seen better days.
But interesting. I mean, how tough is this track on tyres and brakes? Well, it is. I mean, you do have one long straight where you're jamming very hard hard on the brakes into the hairpin late on, but it seems a lot of corners seem very medium speed.
Yeah, it's tight, it's technical, it's not terribly hard on the brakes. Obviously, turn 3, the tight hairpin, you're coming down from high speed to low speed. But sorry, I break off. Look at this, 4 abreast almost now, and that's Mardenborough pushing around the outside of the GT300 pair of a Porsche and Lamborghini.
And that's Caldarelli in the pack there as well. So the gap at one stage earlier in the race, it was something like 8 seconds between Mardenborough and Caldarelli. Well, that's clearly come down. It's only 1.5 seconds maybe as they come across the line as the Wacos car running effectively third. Cassidy has now taken the lead from Bertrand Baguette. The lead has changed.
As Baguette, no, Baguette hasn't pitted. There he is. So, yes, the Lexus that we're looking at on the right of our screen, Nick Cassidy's taken the lead. Bertrand Baguette's dropped down to second, but he's still on those worn-out Dunlop wets.
So this I'm curious about. Is what is the number 64 car in the window yet? As we see, there's an issue in the pit stop there with the Leon.
He's definitely waving about something.
I'm not entirely sure.
No, just a general confusion between crew chief and driver there. I don't know why. That's the Autobacks NSX in the pit lane for their driver change. Sorry, you were saying
they pitted from 8th place. I'm not entirely sure why they're so far into the window, why they've actually kept Baguette out, unless they're worried about fuel until the end of the race.
Yeah, possibly. Mardenborough up to P2. He's past Baguette, and that bonnet on the NSX is loose. So they're coming down to the pit lane now. Will Bertrand Baguette pit?
Yes, he does. It's been 24 laps. So a very, very, very good stint from Baguette. But I do fear maybe those last 2 or 3 laps, the pace he was losing may have just countered any of the gains he may have made. He'll fall into the field, but he will not have to pit again.
This is correct. I'd really love to watch their pit stop now. Here we go. Are they going to have to do any maintenance work on that bonnet, or is it simply a case of, I think they've just clicked it back down again?
Yeah, Matsura getting into the car, Baguette out. Very, very, very good stint from Bertie Baguette.
Again, another professional. Here we go. There's the 2 elastoplasts. Once the fuel man pulls out, watch the 2 guys. They're going to stick the bonnet back down. So the fuel man pulls out, the bonnet is stuck back down. They're going to change the left rear and the right front tyre, and then they're going to send the car. Bertrand Baguette, as I was saying, good professional European racing driver. He won Le Mans in 2013, you know, and here he is on the other side of the planet, earning a living as a racing driver.
And the key thing for Baguette, with the way he's able to make the tyres last, you know, as you said, he's a former WEC driver. He raced in the LMP2 class, has won his class at Le Mans, also formerly an IndyCar driver.
Yep.
There's an awful lot of long stints at, say, Indianapolis, the 500 he did in 2010, 2011. So the guy knows how to make his car last, and I think that was a very, very good stint. But now Matsura's in the car. He's got 39 laps to take over till the end of this race.
And how will the Dunlop slicks compare to the Bridgestones, the Yokohamas and the Michelins?
Later on, those last laps for the Dunlops is going to be stressed like you would not believe. See, the air temperature 30 degrees. The track temperature is still not
Scorchio?
It's 33 degrees, and you're not getting the massive difference between air temperature and track temperature you'd normally see at an awful lot of circuits. So it's
sometimes we see track temperature of 45, 50 degrees, which makes the tyres obviously come up to temperature a lot quicker. But yeah, relatively cool for this time of year in Thailand.
One thing that has come to pass, you see the number 37, it's the race leader, Keeper Toms. Nick Cassidy still at the wheel of that. The number 23 championship leader, NISMO, Ronnie Quintarelli at the wheel of that car. They are still actually running 11th place with the pit stops. They're back on the lead lap.
And of course, Cassidy's gonna have to make another pit stop to get out of the car.
Absolutely. Well, the number 23 Nismo is going to have the pit as well. But, and as we see, Cassidy set the fastest lap of the race so far, 1 minute 26.6. They are 1.2 seconds off the lap record here at Chang International Raceway. But if there's a safety car, suddenly that plays back into the hands from number 23 Nismo. So we've seen some weaving on the circuit as the Epson trying to get his tyres back up to temperature. It's a 64 Epson. That is Matsura now.
We know that car is terribly light on its tyres. It's struggling to get its tyres up to temperature, and
that's Cassidy about to actually put a lap on the former race leader. Yeah, that's Matsura going a lap down. He came out in 13th place overall, so it hasn't. That's what I thought. It feared that those last few laps, the pace of such, they dropped so much pace that it actually hasn't worked out. If maybe pitted 2 or 3 laps earlier, it probably would have worked out a little bit better. But
I think so.
Those extra few laps would probably put him under. But let's see.
Again, it's all to play for though. When you think about, is there going to be a safety car?
Now we have Tachikawa in the exam. This is the first of the GT500 runners to pit for the 2nd time.
So driver change whilst the fuel is going in.
So Shura getting into the car. Tachikawa, very good stint, was running 6th place when he pitted. Hideki Muto also pitting in the number 16 Motel Mugen car.
Slicks off, slicks on. So yeah, 3rd set of tyres going on that car, and very quick, efficient stop. I can't see how they could have improved that.
That is the other pitter at the moment, the number 16 Motel Mugen car. Hideki Muto was in. There's a yellow flag at turn 11. So, has someone just gone off on the runoff, on the wet, still damp runoff area, maybe rejoin? We'll see in a few moments, as we have on the screen there, Caldarelli in the number 6 Wacos car.
Full dry now, full dry. There's hardly any damp patches remaining on the track itself. It will still be wet offline here and there, particularly on the big runoff areas, but the track surface itself predominantly dry.
That's been a very, very good run for Caldarelli, as I said earlier on. That is the 61.
There's the course of our yellow flag. So
the Subaru 61. That's Yamauchi in that car.
And turn 11 is a particularly quick right-hand kink. He's in the gravel on the outside of the corner.
In Hidehara Tatsumi, the general manager.
Could be a safety car.
Possibly. That is buried, I think.
And look at the speed of the cars coming past. They're going to be hesitant to run the little snatch vehicle out there whilst cars are coming past at full speed.
And I don't... Yeah, there's a little bit of a gap, so they could do this quickly, but it means actually getting the little truck onto the runoff area, attaching the winch, and then trying to pull the car. That's not a job of a few minutes, particularly because the angle of the car, it's not as if it can just pull it straight in. It's actually perpendicular to the entry, or sorry, parallel to the entry of the gap. So that's not going to be an easy clear up either. We're lap 29 of this 66 laps race. It is absolutely flying by.
Not even half distance, and we're seeing drivers making their 2nd pit stop now, and we're going to be coming into another pit stop soon for the blue Calsonic car we saw there of Jan Mardenborough. Jan doing a brilliant job. Again, I feel so proud when I think about where he's come from and his background in Cardiff, the previous winner of GT Academy, and I know his parents, Leslie Ann and Steve, are in the grandstands here in Thailand cheering their son on this weekend.
You think Jan is probably more used to damp, changeable conditions than most drivers in this field. As we see Sven Muller leading the GT300 class in the D-Station Porsche.
A massive slide at the exit of turn 1 there for Sven Muller onto the serrated curves, which have clearly got a huge amount of water in them, and he did well to hold that Porsche.
And that is the Leon car gaining a lap back. That's not for position. Remember, the Leon car was actually held in the pits for quite a while.
Yeah.
Sven Muller is a guy I know back from the Formula 3, European Formula 3 days. He raced with Van Amersfoort.
He's done a bit, as they say in the trade.
Yeah, he's done a bit, and he did a very, very good job, and actually was taken in by the Porsche junior team back in 2014. Interesting little story there for you about Muller. Van Amersfoort brought him in, and he was one of the drivers that helped prep the team in 2013, which then took on a young Max Verstappen.
Straight out of karting at the time, wasn't it? Good grief.
As we see the number 3 B-Max GT300 car pit driver change there.
There are last year's GT300 winners, and we know that the dry conditions around here in Thailand suit the Nissan GT3 car, so it'll be very interesting to watch their progress in the latter half of the race.
That's Hoshina getting out, and Takaboshi getting in for the second half of this race.
That was the S-Max GT500 Nissan we saw dive for pit lane. Was that Chio on board of that? I've completely lost track of who's in what at the moment. He said, being honest, forgetting his microphone was on.
Don't look at me.
Sorry.
That's a Gucci. Now that he has the Subaru Biora Z car.
There, that's a great looking little GT300 car. Really distinctive, and I always thought that will make a fantastic road car. A Subaru BRZ or a Toyota GT86 with loads of power. Yes, there's the S-Craft Mola car coming in. I'm trying to see if that's Chio getting out or Chio getting in. I think that's Chio getting in.
Yes, because Motoyama started the race. So a Michelin shod car. They're running 23 kilos of ballast for this race.
Yeah, so not a huge amount of ballast, and we know the Michelins are a really good tyre. They suit that Nissan, so Chio will be properly fired up for the remaining laps. 31 down, 34.5 to go here.
And they'll be looking for a good result as well, because a little bit touch and go this season. They had a second place at Sugo earlier on and a fourth place at a Topless, but outside of that, they've not been in the points so far this year. So it has been a bit
unlucky.
Touch and go here and there. As we see the Gainer Tonics AAA GT-R in third place, it's number 10 the car, battling away for position, and that is Cassidy going to put another lap on that GT300 car, still leading the race, and he's been absolutely imperious.
Yeah.
Nick Cassidy's been absolutely imperious so far in this race, and the Keeper Tom's number 37 car.
As I said before the start of the race, the trick with this multi-class racing in mixed conditions is do not crash or be crashed into, and he's been in the right place at the right time. He positions his car beautifully, so he's not sat in any of the blind spots of the drivers in the slower cars, as we see his teammate getting ready to take over now.
Suited and booted and ready to go. I think that pit stop's coming soon. The gap, meanwhile, Cassidy is leading. The gap is 5.8 seconds. Martinborough in the number 12 Team Impel Nismo, second place, took 0.2 of a second out of Cassidy, and he's still setting personal bests. So he's back, and we see the temperature, the track temperature is beginning to rise, 36 degrees now. So it is actually getting warmer. We're about to get into that window where the cars will be at real proper operating temperature on this track. As you see Martinborough there in the Calsonic putting another lap on a GT300.
Remember, Lee, Martinborough's car 35 kilos lighter than our race leader. Perhaps now for the first time we're seeing the implications of that weight handicap. Martinborough there visibly pushing hard and in the same shot now as our leader.
Absolutely. There's a huge weight difference between the Keeper Toms and the Calsonic cars. As you see, great overhead shot of the circuit.
I think we should just start referring to them as the flatmates. So flatmate 1 leads flatmate 2, of course, Cassidy and Jan Martinborough. And that was, sharing boxes of cereal on a daily basis, whereas now they're arch rivals on track, but the best of housemates.
I don't know about that. I mean, I've heard Cassidy's a bit more of a cornflakes man, and Jan's into his Frosties and whatnot. So,
I know. You can take the boy out of Cardiff.
Meanwhile, Yatsuda, the second driver, the guy who will get in for Martinborough, he's getting ready to probably jump in the next couple of laps as well. But I think we're going to see the Keeper Tom's car in first. Hirakawa will replace Cassidy sometime soon. As I said, the gap is around 4 or 5.5 seconds now. can Mardenborough get in some killer laps, really, at a time when Hirakawa is going to be getting his tyres up to temperature? That is absolutely key. And both are running Bridgestones, by the way. So.
Yep. Brilliant work by the marshals to remove that GT300 car as well, because the last thing we needed was an unnecessary safety car right in the middle of this pit stop window. So great work that they've managed to clear that stricken GT300 car at turn 11 there and keep the race live, so to speak.
As we see on screen now, that is the Hitsuyama Audi with Yanakita at the wheel. Just got Taniguchi just behind him, the Good Smile Racing Team. That is the battle for 7th and 8th place in GT300. And of course, the Hitsuyama car only running 1 kilo of ballast, so almost at a neutral kind of.
And looking at the pace of all the GT300 cars, the balance of performance. Being assisted by the technical department of the SRO, doing a great job as we see such close competitive racing. Nobody's kind of streaking away at the head of the GT300 field. It's in a tight pack.
You know what's also almost more impressive is leading the GT300 class at the moment in the D-Station Porsche, Sven Muller still hasn't actually pitted.
Has he not?
According to the timing in Gorman, he's still not pitted. There's 3 cars in GT300 that are still not pitted. He's still putting in 1 minute laps in the 1:34 range, while those around him are in the 1:34, 35s. He's got a solid gap of quite a few seconds.
He must have started on slicks then.
He must have started on slicks. And if so, absolutely fantastic job. As the gap now between Leigh, Cassidy and Mardenborough is 3.9 seconds. Cassidy, of course, is still going to be dealing with traffic, as is Mardenborough, and this is where the gap will edge and flow. And you can see it there, just how much the cars are moving around in the as the GT500 try to lap the GT300s.
Yeah, coming down from super high speed there as they run down the main straight here in Buriram into turn 3. Turn 3, second gear hairpin, and here we see our race leader in for their driver change.
And to keeper Tom, that is Cassidy getting out after an absolutely stellar stint. Wonderful job. Hirakawa getting in. Now this is not going to be, it's not just a case of having a quick stop and getting the fuel in, getting the tyres done, but it's also going to have to be a quick outlap as well. You know, you're going to lose 3 to 4 seconds on this outlap.
Mardenborough was close enough where he would have seen Cassidy peel in, and he knows he has to make the most of these next 1 or 2 flying laps before he makes his stop. He has to get the hammer down, do as quick a job as he can through any slower cars he comes across, and make the clean air time count on track, and then hope that his teammate recovers back up to speed quicker than the keeper Tom's car here. And
the other aspect, of course, for Mardenborough is he had Caldarelli on his tail for quite a while. He's actually shaken off the Wacos Lexus LC500 car, and so has been able to concentrate on just actually getting the job done and closing in on the race leading keeper Tom's car. Caldarelli, of course, now promoted to 2nd place. After Cassidy's stop.
It's great watching the body language of the cars on their outlap, just so tentative. And
he's worked hard. Nick has worked very hard, you can tell.
There we see Cassidy. Super job by him this afternoon.
I mean, how hot is it in the car, in these cars, Rob?
It'll be about 20 degrees above ambient temperature, Leigh, so we're talking sort of 45, 50 degrees in the car. So imagine sitting in a steam room for thick end of an hour on an exercise bike. That's the rate at which the guys are working
with a heavy steering wheel.
Yeah, their pulse will be 135, 140 beats a minute as we see the battle for 8th here.
That's the Cent LC500 taking 8th place from Matsura in the 64 Epsom car. And that, of course, the 64, that was the car that Bertie Baguette ran along in the first stint on wet tyres. They'll recover some points, and of course, they'll not have to pit again.
Of course.
I'll tell you something else. I mean, Mardenborough has a 2.6 seconds gap over Caldarelli in the number 6 Wacos car, so it's not a million miles away. He has dropped Caldarelli to a degree to allow him to concentrate on chasing Cassidy in the keeper Tom's Lexus, but and as you see, the number 1 Denso car comes in from what was 5th place. That's Hirate getting out of the car.
Yeah, his teammate's done a little.
Heikki Kovalainen, never heard of him.
Yeah, I believe he's done a bit.
A little bit. Yes, of course, Heikki Kovalainen, of course, former Formula 1 driver with Renault, with McLaren, with Lotus, with Caterham, won a Grand Prix, of course, in Hungary in 2008. His only Grand Prix win. Amazingly, I never. That was the year, of course, Lewis Hamilton won the world champion, won his first world championship.
Yeah, I remember him being the wingman of choice to Lewis back in the day when Dave Ryan was the team manager at McLaren.
Seems so long ago.
I know. Oh no, we're reminiscing. Quick, take off the rose-tinted spectacles.
I mean, I saw something that I think Heikki is. You're right. He was actually the runner-up in the first ever GP2 series as well. He was runner-up to Nico Rosberg, last year's world champion, then teammate to Lewis Hamilton.
And 111 Formula 1 starts. 111, and he won one of them.
It's one of these things. I must be getting to that stage in my life where I look down and see Heikki Kovalainen is 35 years old, and I think to myself, nah.
Yeah, I know. So
meanwhile,
here we go. Yeah. Meanwhile, Mardenborough stays out.
He stays out, and I think, you know what, I think if the tyre life is there and Mardenborough is setting laps in the 1:25, he's losing a little bit of time because he's negotiating traffic, but he's still setting laps in around 1:25. I think he's still good for another few laps. I don't think those Bridgestones are actually losing anywhere near as much. And that's a risk. Actually, we just saw for a brief moment there, Caldarelli got his 2 left-hand wheels on the still damp curbs, and you can actually see the spray coming up through the wheel arches, and you've got to be very, very careful of that on those slick tyres, because that can just loop you around.
Yeah, destabilises the car and can almost turn you hard left, particularly if you spin up that left rear tyre. And yeah, great to see that Mardenborough has gapped Caldarelli ever so slightly, and he can just focus on getting the pace down, if you like. The marbles offline, I hesitate slightly because I was just taken with the amount of rubber deposits now being laid down off the racing line. The circuit's becoming dirtier, so as the GT500 cars cut through the GT300 cars, they are going to be picking up bits of rubber on the face of the tyre, which has a destabilising effect as well.
A lot of that would have also been from the wet tyres earlier on, as they got chewed up as the track dried out and the temperature has risen, and the temperature has risen quite a bit since the start of the race. This is no longer the cool, damp, windy circuit that the race started with. To see another overhead shot. Are there lakes in the middle of the track, or is that just from the rain?
I think they're lakes. I think they're lakes. Hatsune Miku there, AMG going through, a fan favourite in GT300. Very distinctive livery on that car.
Because there's Taniguchi running in, I think, 7th place in the GT300 class at the moment.
Yeah, chasing down the 2 cars immediately ahead of him. The little trio there headed by the Audi. Mardenborough still out.
It's still putting in, as I said a few moments ago, still putting in relatively quick lap times. The only thing at times that is holding him up, as I said, is coming to traffic. He's coming up to lap 40 soon.
He's on maximum attack. You can see he's pushing hard. He's just done his personal best in the first sector there.
And of course, the former race leader, Hirakawa, was Nick Cassidy, it's Hirakawa now, Ryo Hirakawa, and the keeper Toms, actually lapping a little bit slower around about the same time. So it's taking a little bit of time for the tyres to come up to temperature. But also Hirakawa it's not like Cassidy at the start of the race when he had a clear field for a while. Hirakawa has joined the race in traffic.
He has. Mardenborough stays out, and the pace he's showing here, this could be race-winning pace now from Jan Mardenborough.
And the gap between the leading number 12 Calsonic car armed to Hirakawa in the already pitted number 37 Keeper Toms is 1:05.
Over a minute, wow.
Because if you think about it, if we're looking at maybe a minute to 1:05 to actually do a clean pit stop, and bear in mind as well, when Cassidy pitted, what was it, 5 laps ago now at this stage?
It was 5 laps to go.
When Martinborough does eventually pit, they're going to be putting in less fuel, so you're saving little bits of time in the pit stop by staying out a little bit longer. You're putting less fuel in the car. They're only going to have 26. If Martinborough was to pit now, they would only need to put 26 laps of fuel in the car to get to the end. So you're saving little bits of time by keeping Martinborough out. The tyres are still there. He's just set the fastest lap of the race, a 1 minute 25.499. That's absolutely
half a tenth off the lap record, the outright lap record here.
On old tyres. These tyres have done what, 30 laps, 30 something laps.
Yeah, must be. And he's in the box.
Now, is this going to be enough? I think it's going to be quite touch and go, actually, because I think Martinborough has done quite a bit over the last few laps to maybe extend the gap as he really
big lock up from
on the brakes. Coming in there. Caldarelli has stayed out, by the way. The Waycross car now takes the lead on track.
Martinborough could not have done any more to set the fastest lap of the race on the lap before his in-lap. Is a brilliant job. Very distinctive purple helmet. Job done. He jumps out.
Very, very, very good stint from Martinborough, but let's see how long this pit stop will be.
Little delay in getting the car up in the air there, a little bit of confusion.
That's going to
cost them a couple of seconds.
That will cost them the lead.
So once the first pair of tyres are changed, the fuel goes in. The tyre guys now have to wait until the fuel is complete. As soon as the fuel pulls out, then the young man on the left front tyre can do his job. He'll be getting messages on his radio headset. Wait, 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 wait. He'll then get the shout to go. So as soon as the fuel is complete, go. Tyre off, tyre on, and hope for a clean, quick release. Nothing coming in the pit lane, and yeah, Jan's teammate is away. So Yatsuda-san continues. Where will he come out, though? That's the question, Leigh.
I think it is going to be Hirakawa will get him very much before. Yeah,
he's done him.
It's done. I think they probably lost a little bit too much time. That is the run coming down into turn 3. But now it comes to the number 6 Waycross car. Because Caldarelli's still out and has Caldarelli's in the pits, actually just pitted now. He's done some very quick laps first in the last few tours, similar pace to Martinborough. So if he has a clean stop, where will this bring him at? Because he was only 2 seconds behind Martinborough at the time.
Sure, and as they've now done their second round of pit stops, done their driver change, done their refueling, we've now got a straight 25-lap sprint, or 24-lap sprint it'll be, to the flag. There's our championship leader making his, what will be hopefully his final stop as well.
Pitted from 5th place. He'll probably drop back down to the end of the points. That's Quintarelli's out of the car now. It is Matsuda in the car for the final 24 laps of this race, as you see
again, an experienced, wily, fast professional racing driver in Yatsuda. He will be motivated by the Super GT Championship, and this will be very interesting to see now how he gets on. Very, very interested. This will be a no holds barred sprint from Yatsuda now in the 23 red Nissan.
And inevitably, it looks like they may well lose the championship lead at the end of this race unless they can make up several positions in this final stint. They're 11th overall. That's outside the points. And when the rest of the pit stops are done, they'll probably will claim about 3 or 4 positions back. But that loss, I was getting a yellow flag.
I was just thinking their team manager will have both fingers crossed for a safety car. What he needs is that safety car restart. Of course, in Super GT, we see the race neutralised. We see the field come to a stop. They take out the lapped cars and put the cars in track position, nose to tail. So, yeah, hopefully we'll be able to see on the screen shortly what the safety car is for.
It's interesting question there from Neil Heckens. Are you required to change 2 tyres before fueling, or can the teams determine the sequence themselves?
They can determine the sequence themselves, but the tyre change must be done separately to the fueling. So it makes sense to do the first 2 as soon as the car comes to a stop, and then the guys can reposition, because you're only allowed a limited number of pit crew to change. So you can only have 2 guys changing wheels and tyres, as we see the GT300 Mercedes now coming in for his stop. This was the car,
yes, so
this was their earlier confused stop.
This is where they lost an awful lot of time, and for a while actually dropped behind the then GT300 race leader.
I think they lost time at the start of the stop. The car came in and didn't go up in the air. That's what the hand signals were from the jackman trying to get the car to go up.
Meanwhile, just looking at GT300 just for a split second, Sven Muller's still leading that class, by the way. and still not pitted in the D-Station Porsche, so very, very good effort there from the Porsche Junior man. As we see the keeper Tom's race leader, it's Ryo Hirakawa in the number 37 car leading this race. And I mean, that has been absolutely faultless so far in this race. There's nothing you can say about what they've done in this race that has been wrong, or maybe a mistake or an error. Everything has been absolutely on it, as we see the VVAC car now in the pits, 25 for their stop.
Yeah, Nick Cassidy did a great job. The pit crew did a brilliant job at the driver change, and of course Cassidy's teammate Ryo Hirakawa doing an equally good job. A little bit of flame from the front brake caliper. They might have a little squirt of fire extinguisher.
No, you need to do something.
Okay, so the reason for that small fire inside the wheel was that inside the rim itself, there's quite a lot of debris that's held in by the centrifugal force of the spinning wheel, and as soon as the car comes to a stop, it drops down just onto the caliper and just catches fire. So as soon as the car gets going, it gets a bit of through flow of air again. That will just extinguish itself.
And meanwhile, in the lead of a GT300, Muller has finally pitted from the D-Station Porsche, 2/3 of the way through the race.
Brilliant job.
Absolutely fabulous job. And he is going to be replaced. Number 30. And actually, Muller, they started down they actually started down in 15th place. That's Tomonobu Fuji jumping into that car. They had 22 kilos of ballast on that car running the Yokohama tyres. So you see the pit stops there, and you can see the 5th place, the 37. That's a minute 3.9. So we were actually pretty right about the length of time in the pit lane. But you actually see
what's interesting is just looking at the pace of the blue Nissan, the Calsonic car, 1 minute 24. So they did lose a big chunk of time.
Another loss there is actually the thing is that's the number 12, the Calsonic car. You're right, absolutely lost quite a lot of time.
So if we were to sort of subtract that 24 seconds they lost from pit in to pit out, that will put them right in the mix. Little question coming in about driver cooling online. You'll see quite a few of the drivers have adapters on their crash helmet. That's pumping air-conditioned air directly into and around the driver's helmet. The cars do run air conditioning, but it's not like a road car. It's just a small cool air vent that's blowing at them. So yeah, the car's running, as I mentioned earlier, about 20 degrees above ambient temperatures. So they are a warm environment to be in. Not too bad on a day like today where it's 30 degrees, but at some places we go in the championship where conditions are closer to 40, 45 degrees. It can become quite emotional in there.
And interesting to note there is Hirakawa in a 37 keeper Tom's car. They were outlap was 0.8 of a second quicker than the number 12 Calsonic car.
Yeah.
With Matsuda. So I think they're just edging away. The number 37 keeper Tom's just edging away. Yeah,
it does look like Mardenborough's got the pace of Matsuda. So Mardenborough's teammate, not quite as comfy as perhaps Mardenborough, but you know, as the fuel load comes down, as the tyres evolve and change, maybe he will get more into the rhythm. But yeah, I think the Calsonic team are going to look at their pit strategy and see what went wrong at the pit stop there with that delay to get the car in the air, because that's proved to be super costly.
But yeah, and it's cost them second place because they are now behind the Waycross number 6 car. So that is Keeper Tom's leading this race. The number 6 Waycross car second place, and the Calsonic number 12 now down to 3rd.
And of course the Keeper Tom's car second in the championship table.
And possibly leading the championship after this race, because the championship leader is the number 23 NISMO car down in 11th place at the moment.
Again, that yellow flag has come and gone, so no danger of a safety car yet. 20 laps to go. It would be very, very unusual to not have a safety car. Let's just wait and see how this last 20 laps pans out.
And of course, if you're liking the action you see here today, and you've liked the action you've seen in other Super GT races so far this year, don't forget to like and subscribe to the NISMO channel. That's wonderful content, not just from Super GT, but from other categories. Some really, really good stuff. And you can also get to see Sam Collins as a passenger in Fuji Speedway once again.
Which is worth watching just for comedy content alone.
It's actually almost worth watching just to see Sam's head bounce off the roof as he's inside the car.
And it's interesting to see how they've beeped it carefully, because the majority of what he said wasn't of broadcast quality, so they've just beeped out huge proportions of his audio content.
It's not even that. They weren't even sure if what he was saying was actual words, so they just beeped it out just in case, because you're never really sure with Sam a lot of the time. I know he's listening. He's in Suzuka this weekend. I think he's judging a bread baking competition or something like that. I'm not sure.
I don't know. These television talent contests, they'll never catch on. Ask Jan Mardenborough, he'll tell you.
I don't know what they actually do in Suzuka outside of Super GT. I think it is an awful lot of bread baking that they do there.
Maybe he's at the fun fair. I know he's a huge fan of roller coasters.
He's in the fun fair with some bread.
There we go. What more could my mum? Meanwhile, back in Thailand, here we are viewing the BMW M6 of Sean Walkinshaw, an old teammate of mine at Dragon Racing. Sean now driving the BMW for the gentleman sponsoring the series from Autobacks, the Japanese version of Halfords, I guess.
And Sean, actually 4th place in GT300 at the moment, not far behind 3rd place in GT300, which is Tomonobu Fuji in the D-Station Porsche. That was a car that Sven Muller was actually drove very, very, very late into the stint.
The car that we're now looking on screen, so yes.
And they started 13th in class. And that long stint is from Muller, as we see on screen there, absolutely looking hot and bothered. That's not Muller. Muller's a little bit younger than that. But that stint from Muller has allowed him to go from 13th up to 3rd in GT300. Wonderful, wonderful stint from the young German.
Yeah, the car that Sean Walkinshaw is in now, of course, started 3rd, so much higher up the field. So the two cars that are running nose to tail now, the Porsche has been dragged up, as you say, quite spectacularly by Sven Muller in the first half of the race. Back at the front of the field, though, down at turn 2, that's the... Sorry, beg your pardon, down at turn 3, that's the Lexus, putting another lap on the RCF GT3 car there of Suboi. He's the leader now in GT300. Great looking car, the FIA GT3 version of the Lexus RCF, and he's being chased by the Mercedes FIA GT3 derivative as well of the Hatsune Miku AMG Mercedes.
And of course, Suboi and teammate Nakayama running 6th in the GT300 championship standings at almost 36 points, just 16 behind the class leaders in the K2 R&D Leon racing car in the Kurosawa and Gamu.
Again, I'm drawn down towards the calculator logo on my computer here, and I'm looking at the championship table, but I know as soon as I start making preemptive mathematical calculations, the safety car will come out. So I'm not going to do that, because the racing at the moment is just terrific up and down the field between GT500 and GT300, and yeah, a safety car would be unnecessary at this stage. There we've got the battle between, so that's the 2nd place GT300 Mercedes, the one we were talking a moment ago, behind our race-leading Lexus RCF.
And you see this, what will be the championship standings after this race.
Saves me getting my calculator out. Thank you very much.
And you can see the good small racing pairing of Taniguchi and Katakao will actually move to the lead. They are running 2nd in this race at the moment. Yeah. The number 51 car Nakayama Tsubo are leading the GT300 class. They will move up to 2nd.
Kurosawa and Gamu really hurt by their current position, moving from the lead of GT300 down to 3rd. So No points for them at the moment after their messy pit stop earlier in the race.
They're very, very, very far down the order. They are, I think they're down, it must be 13 to 14th.
They must have lost over 20 seconds at that first pit stop where the car flatly refused to come up in the air, so a costly mistake there.
Yeah, they lost. They're 16th in class at the moment, and they lost approximately half a minute. So that's hurt them very much.
Back at the front of the field, our race leader, the Keeper Tom's Lexus here on screen now. The predicted point scoring, and as we thought, Hirakawa will be moving if the positions stay the same from the second place up to the lead of the championship, taking 20 points for the win.
And that early that error, I suppose, with the 23 NISMO car running on slicks in the early damp conditions has really hurt Matsuda and Quittarelli's championship standing at the moment. And
Hirakawa doing a brilliant job there. Brilliant, just quick, clean through the traffic as you would expect, and doing a sterling follow-up job to Nick Cassidy's stellar first stint. There we see the GT500 derivative GT-R past the GT300 derivative, lower, wider, more power, more aero. In terms of power, remember the GT500 cars running about 650 brake horsepower, and GT300s, well, not running. Speaking of GT300s, we have our pole position car and previous race leader, the Audi, coming into the pits and being wheeled back into the pit box, Lee.
That's a bit of an issue on the Richard Lyons and the Yanagida car. I believe it was Yanagida-san that was driving at the moment. It is. Richard Lyons, of course, started the race. It's an unfortunate...
That's never good when you see the mechanics scratching their heads and the laptop being plugged in.
Electrical issues for the Audi. Maybe they were running towards the end of the top 10 in the GT300, so that is would have been some points, but it's, you know, they're going to tumble right down to the bottom of the order, stuck in the garage like that.
Second unlucky race in a row for them after their series of punctures at the Suzuka 1000 kilometers. As again, we cut back to the GT500 erstwhile championship leader, the 23 car, pushing hard on a damage limitation exercise now. Matsuda getting quicker and quicker and quicker all the time as the tyres now fully up to temperature and as the fuel load comes down. Looking back now, Hirakawa completing lap number 51, so coming round to start lap number 52, 14 to go. Where has the time gone, Lee? That's just bonkers. What a great race we're seeing today.
And we've not had incidents, we've not had safety cars, we've not had any kind of crazy moments that have turned it upside down. It's just been good, hard racing by a lot of very professional, fast drivers, really gunning for the Super GT.
And some brilliant pit strategy from the pit wall as well, knowing when to pit their drivers at the correct time. It's brilliant now with the gift of hindsight. We can say, oh well, 1:34 was the crossover, was the ideal crossover time between the wets to the slicks, but it was all a work of speculation from the pit wall, and the Keeper Tom's Lexus team did just a brilliant job.
Absolutely. As we see the GT300 Autobacks car.
That's the battle between the Autobacks car and that D-Station Porsche, driven by Sven Muller in the first half of the race. They're running nose to tail now. Walkinshaw really putting pressure on the green and white Porsche there.
And of course, if you like the action you've seen here on the NISMO TV channel, also check out the Bathurst that took place last night. I can't tell you anything about it because I haven't seen it, but I'm looking forward to actually watching it when I get home on the NISMO TV channel.
Huge weekend of motorsport around the world. We joked earlier about the Japanese Grand Prix taking place, but of course Petit Le Mans, Road Atlanta as well.
Bread Baking Championship. Baking Championship. And yes, you're absolutely right. Petit Le Mans last night, the final round of the IMSA series in the US this weekend.
Have you been to Road Atlanta in Georgia?
No, and I would it's one of those circuits I absolutely really want.
Think Alton Park. narrow, loads of undulations, and just a huge grid. Imagine a Le Mans grid going around Alton Park. That's what it's like. We promise you there will be no spoilers coming up. We're not going to mention any results from any other championships, but the Petit Le Mans race from Atlanta, awesome stuff.
And I have to agree, absolutely no spoilers. I'm not seeing the race, so I don't know what happened.
I don't even know what happened at the bread baking championship at Suzuka. But again, I think Suzuka, like Road Atlanta, much narrower in reality. You know, you look at the Grand Prix cars going around, and you think, oh, it's going to be huge. You go there in person, it's got personality. It's narrow, much narrower than this modern circuit we're looking at here. And
I think this is one of the aspects of a modern circuit like Chang International Raceway, as we see 36. That is the D-Station Porsche. It is under attack from Sean Walkinshaw on number 55, Arta M6 for third place. And oh, Walkinshaw goes a little bit wide, can't quite make the move there.
Can he get the cut back?
Can he get the cut back to the inside on the back straight on the way into 4?
No,
I think he's dropped a little bit too far behind. And one of the aspects we probably a lot of viewers will have noticed about this circuit, it is a modern circuit. It was designed by Herman Tilke's company, as we see Walkinshaw making another nod down the inside. Not going to happen there. It's two left-handers.
Yeah, that's the Ray Brigg NSX coming up to just nip past Sean. That will upset his rhythm and his initial challenge to the Porsche, but he won't have gone away for long, that's for sure.
And we're going to lose him a couple of seconds, and that's will it take Sean a lap or two to actually get that back?
Not a lap or two. It will definitely take him a corner or two, and you see he's right back on the back of the Porsche. But where he looked down the inside of turn 3, that will be his next real opportunity for an overtake. I don't think he's close enough to make a move at the final corner.
This circuit, as going back to what we were mentioning a few moments ago, this circuit is very modern. It's designed by Herman Tilke and his company. There are no bumps.
No, billiard ball smooth.
It is absolutely billiard, and it is completely different, I would say, to the likes of Sugo or Autopolis and Suzuka to a degree, where they are, they are worn circuits, they are aged circuits, they're the circuits that have seen so much racing as Walkinshaw only loses it on the exit of the turn 1.
So here we go. The BMW, beg your pardon, did show great straight line speed last time, but no, he's just not close enough.
I think he actually lost too much speed on the exit of that corner by getting he spun up the rear wheels on maybe a little bit of remaining damp patch on that corner, and it's actually cost him an opportunity on this part of the lap. And now he's going to spend the rest of the lap trying to regain his position to overtake. And that's the thing, when you're trying to make an overtake, it's not a case of getting up to someone diving down the inside, as that's exactly what Walkinshaw wants to do. But sometimes you actually have to set that overtake up 2, 3, 4 corners beforehand.
Of course, we're looking here at the white and green Porsche with its engine over the rear wheels. So that car has amazing traction out of the hairpins and the slow corners. So Sean's only chance of a clean overtake, as his teammate now comes up behind him and respectfully waits, is to make a pass on the brakes, or if the Porsche trips over another car in traffic, Sean is not going to be able to overtake on a straight drag out of the corner. A rear-engine Porsche will always have better initial recovery off a slow corner than a mid-engined or front-engined BMW.
As we see the number 12 motel car having a look down the inside of the number 8 Auto Black's car, and again it's delayed Walkinshaw. He's now got 2 cars in between him.
Yeah, there will be an expletive or two from underneath the crash helmet of young Master Walkinshaw there, that's for sure.
Just 2?
Yeah, really frustrating. That little pair of GT500 cars has cost him.
And this is interesting, actually. We have Matsuda looking to try and get Kobayashi. This is for 10th place, and it may only be a point or 2, but it will be. It's all points that actually goes to the championship. So Matsuda really needs to start making positions, needs to start making moves, and he's going to score very lightly.
As I said, when Matsuda got in the car, he will be driven by the desire to get points for the championship table. He knows he's not going to win. Safety car permitting, he's not going to be able to win or even get on the podium today, but he's going to be pushing incredibly hard and scrapping for single points here and single points there.
He's only got 10 laps to really make a mark on this race, and to maybe he can get to 10th place. Fine, it's not really the kind of reward you're looking for, but it's decisions like that when the race is starting. We see So it's Ronnie Quintarelli frustrated really at that decision maybe to not change, or to change the slicks on the grid, has really cost him an awful lot of points. And in the back of his head, there's only one race left. They're also going to be thinking, well, has that one decision actually also cost him the championship?
It could. That one race left, of course, coming up in early November at Motegi, and it's a short one. It's not a long duration. We have 300-kilometre race here today and only a 250-kilometre race at Motegi. And yeah, I'm sure Ronnie will be looking back and ruining that decision to start on the slicks, which wasn't ideal, as we see his teammate now looking long way around the outside at turn 3, the long hairpin. And yeah,
he's going for it. He's gone down the inside of Kobayashi. Will he get a run to actually take 10th place? The side by side coming down the back straight as we head towards turn 4. But I think Kobayashi just has enough. It's going to turn left here. It'll give him the inside line, and Kobayashi keeps position. Does he? No, Matsuda takes it. Matsuda takes it, keeps his foot in. Absolutely fantastic move for 10th place. But it all, and you see, look at Quintarelli just clasping his hands. You can see the kind of tension in his body.
Brilliant, brilliant stuff, and a good clean overtake there from Matsuda. I think there might have been a tiny little touch there on the way out of the hairpin, but the Nissan, as they pass the yellow flag zone there at turn 8, good mechanical medium speed corner grip and good straight line speed. I thought the Honda would have had the edge on straight line speed, but no.
And the thing is, now there is a 15-second gap for Matsuda to the next guy's Yamamoto in the Ray Brick 100 car. So 10 laps to go. That's unfortunate. I think that may be as good as it gets. As we see, Walkinshaw dive down the inside of Fuji, goes completely off the circuit. Got that wrong, and he'll be hoping it doesn't cost him anything else. I don't think it will.
A smile and a laugh from the pit wall there. Sean sent it in from a long way back and struggled to get the car stopped, as we see him again on that wet curb coming out of turn 1, looking back at the move at the last corner. Big lunge down the inside, and yes,
it never was gonna work, was it?
Gets a point for trying. Sadly, not a championship point, but a point in my book. And yeah, he's struggling now on those tyres that are still just carrying a bit of the moisture or a lack of temperature from his trip over the curbs on the outside of turn 1 there.
But how much time has that actually cost him to the destination Porsche?
Passing on there, yeah, about 3 seconds, I reckon.
Yeah. So he's going to have to work hard over the next few laps to catch him. Actually, you know, the destination Porsche is 1 corner ahead. He's going to have to work hard to get that back, but which, if he catches him in the next 3 laps, that means he now only has 6 laps to get the job done. Actually, you know, he's fallen behind the gainer, AAA, so he's actually lost it. He did lose the position actually in recovery. So
I lost a position and time. Okay. Still waved yellows there at turn 8 for the recovery of the broken down car. So again, I keep my fingers crossed we don't see a safety car. The last thing we need now will be an interruption of the safety car.
So we see the number 10. Ryuichiro Tomita in the gainer car.
GT300 car going slowly on the front straight there. And, I didn't catch the race number there, but I could hear in my headphones the background noise there, just struggling to get a gear, and yeah, going slowly on the pit straight, and yep, we see a yellow flag come out now.
And that is a very, very unusual issue. If it's on the start-finish straight, that must have conked in very, very, very quickly, as we see there's a recovery vehicle on the track there making its way around. That must have conked in very, very suddenly for the failure to come in quite like that. Was it one of the Lamborghinis? I'm not sure.
No, I think it was a GT86 or a Subaru BRZ. They look similar from behind. Yes, GT86. The 2 factory Lexus running close together, and that was Heikki Kovalainen there, being very, very respectful of the waved yellow flag as the Toyota recovers now.
Interesting. 35. Oh, it's a Thai car.
Okay. 35, yes.
And they're running towards the back of the field in GT300 anyway. The only Thai entry in the field, their season-long entry.
And great that they've managed to get the car going. Quick control, alt delete, power cycle, turn everything off, turn everything back on again, and clearly that's remedied whatever trouble they had. As again, we cut back to the two factory Lexus running nose to tail now, coming through the infield section of 5 and 6.
The AU car in 6th place. Quite a bit behind its 5th class, but it's got the number 1 Denso car only just a second behind.
Another pair of cars going around nose to tail are the pair of Hondas for battling over 8th.
It hasn't. We have in 4th place the Cahin car running in the NSX GT, but beyond that, it hasn't been the most successful of GT500s for Honda. There's a lot of mark towards the end, the bottom half of the top 10.
And coming into in today's event in Thailand, the leading Honda in the championship table all the way back in 8th. But
Quintrelli, no, he's still 10th place. Sorry, 10th place. When we see the Ray Big 100 car, I'm not entirely sure what that was. That was an effort. The 64 car, the Epsom car, was the car that Bertie Baguette ran very, very, very long, 44 lap stint at the beginning of the race. Led for quite a while, and it has, to a degree. Well, they started 8th place, so it's kind of worked out thereabouts. So as I said at the time, they probably ran a few laps too long, but it may have ended up just a net 8th place anyway.
Particularly impressive performance from that Dunlop tyre to give it such amazing durability. And of course the other NSX running behind the Raybrigg car, running on the Bridgestone tyre, so the white car on Dunlops, the blue car on Bridgestones, the joy of the multi-tyre formulae.
And of course, as we go back to the 100, it's Yamamoto and the 100 Raybrigg car, still looking for that 8th position. There's a note as well, as I mentioned a few moments ago, the Panther Team Thailand car. It's a Natapon.
Good luck with this. There we go. So awesome. Thank you, Mr. Collins. As we watch the two Honda NSXs coming down into the hairpin turn 3 with only 5 laps to go.
Do you know, I spent all week practicing that.
Oh, and he's gone wide.
He's gone through. The 100 Raybrigg Yamamoto takes Matsura. I think Matsura went a little bit deep, and Yamamoto just cut across the inside and took 8th position.
Maybe he was practicing his Thai pronunciation as well, listening to one of those language tapes in the car. Oh, and again, really close as they pass one of the slower GT300 cars. Now, Kaz Nakajima still leads this pair of Lexus. So that's Kaz Nakajima in the AU car with Heikki Kovalainen behind him. Maximum attack.
Both former Formula 1 drivers, of course. Nakajima raced in the latter part of the last decade. As Heikki Kovalainen has a look, he's not going to get through there. The gap is only half a second. I mean, it is at that stage, the gap is such you don't even measure it in time. You just see it in front of you. But is Heikki going to have a look? I don't think he's going to have a look in turn 1, but I think he's going to line himself up, or try and line himself up down this long straight through the curvature of 2 as the 300 gets in the way slightly, not too much. But will Nakajima be, or Heikki Kovalainen, Nakajima get a run? On Kovalainen get a run on Nakajima? No, he's still not quite close enough.
Heikki playing a waiting game. He can see those slower GT300 cars ahead, and if there is a 50-50 situation, you can be sure if Kaz goes one way, he will go the other.
Possibly here. Nakajima held up slightly.
So through turn 4, fast left-hander. They then come into the long looping left of turn 5. Followed by turn 6, again opening radius left, that leads into 7, and a possible opportunity at turn 9. So double right coming up and then a tighter right, but no, Kaz Nakajima just has the advantage over the technical stuff in the middle sector.
Kovalainen dropped back quite a bit there.
Kohei Hirate, Heikki Kovalainen's teammate there, watching in the pit box.
So see Nakajima 6th place.
Not the greatest of laps there from Heikki Kovalainen. He was right on the tail of his teammate there, and he has dropped back just a smidgen.
Do you know, he's actually dropped back quite a bit in the second half of that lap.
So back at the front of the field.
I'll tell you something, I think that the race leader, the Keeper Tom's Lexus, has not been harmed by the weight ballast whatsoever. But the Wacos car is catching. It's still 11.8 seconds. But the Wacos car is actually running quite a bit of its own ballast as well.
Yeah, Wacos car, in fact, they're both running the same, both running 48 kilos.
Yeah, so I mean, that's not hurt either of those cars whatsoever.
No, 3 laps to go now, 3 to go.
The number 12 car was, of the Calsonic car, was running 2nd place for so much of this race. Only running 13 kilos of ballast. They're now running 3rd after a long pit stop. I do believe we're going to see it here. Yes, 14 seconds the gap. It's Yasuda in the car. And Martin, I think it's fair to say, is very much the quicker of the 2 drivers in the Calsonic car. And he's really shown it today.
Certainly has been this weekend. And yeah, look at this now. A gaggle of GT500s coming down into turn 3 for position. Following the Keihin NSX through the turning phase, through the central part of the corner now as the driver gets on the power. Beautiful and smooth. No sign of the tyres starting to fall away as he comes up. Was that the Calsonic car going slowly? I think I saw in the background there the blue Calsonic GT500 car going slowly. Either that or I'm completely hallucinating.
Not seen anything come up on the screen yet, as we see.
Yes!
Yes, he is! He is from 3rd place. It's the number 12 Calsonic car absolutely slowing down. Oh, the shame for Calsonic. And it's Yasuda in the car at the moment.
I thought I saw him coming off the hairpin going slowly, and Mardenborough looks heartbroken.
Absolutely distraught, Jan Mardenborough.
No visible signs of anything broken, nothing leaking, no punctures. You can see the driver looking down. He's trying all manner of stuff. So here we go. This is what I was looking at. I was following the Keihin coming, yes, out of turn 3. The Nissan slowed dramatically and hugely disappointing as he's
stopped now.
Yeah.
Hard to know, maybe a gearbox issue or something along those lines, because there didn't seem to be an electrical issue. It wasn't an engine, weren't any punctures or anything like that.
Heartbreak for Mardenborough. That's dreadful luck, unfortunate.
And this brings the Keihin, number 17 Keihin car, up to 3rd place in this race. As the Keeper Tom's car still leading this race. It's Ryo Hirakawa at the head of this field. But absolutely devastation on the number 12 Calsonic pit wall.
That's so unfortunate. 2 laps to go. Well, coming round now to start our final lap. He started on pole position. Looks like he's going to take the win as well as we start the final lap. The Keeper Tom's car, terrific job from them all weekend. So only, what, 4 kilometres now to go. He's done probably half a K already.
And as we come to the finish of this race, I've been the birthday shout out for Nismo Garth. Happy birthday. The Calsonic car is probably not what you wanted to see.
But it may have given our championship leader, it may have gifted them a point.
It will, yes, that would have brought the 23 car up to 9th place.
Just lost another lap on the final tour round behind our race leader.
So coming around the final few turns now. They have been imperious. The Keeper Tom's crew have been absolutely imperious. Cassidy's stint earlier on was absolutely fantastic. Really edged ahead of the 12 Calsonic car when he needed to, made the laps work in the pit stop cycle when he needed to, and Hirakawa has come out and done the same.
The pressure was on Hirakawa. He had to do a great job, and you know, from a driver's opinion, that's a high pressure situation, and he has just thrived coming through turn 11. He's coming now down into the final corner, and Leigh, job done.
Checkered flag coming out now for Ryo Hirakawa, the number 37 Keeper Tom's Lexus. Fantastic job, and the win and full point and the championship lead, and Nick Cassidy knows it. That is a nice advantage going into the final round in Motegi in 5 weeks' time, as the number 6 Waycross LC500 makes it a Lexus 1-2. And third place will go to, at the moment it's going to be the Cahin car, I believe. Not crossed the line, the number 17 Cahin car NSX running in third place. As it crosses the line now, takes the flag and the podium, and that is a good reward after unfortunately losing a possible podium at the Suzuka 1000 as well, as we see the number 38 Zent LC500. That's 3 Lexuses, or Lexi, or Lexiums, or...
One sheep, many sheep. One Lexus, many Lexus. Speaking of Lexus, our GT300 race winner comes through for the GT lockout, so they win GT 500 and 300.
And not for the first time this year either. You see the Hatsune Miku AMG crosses the line, second place in GT 300.
Oh, battling right the way down to the final corner now. The D-Station Porsche and the Autobacks BMW. Is Walkinshaw close enough? Will he fire him off?
I think
no,
Fuji has
quite.
it, and Fuji has it and keeps Walkinshaw at bay. Fantastic job from the D-Station 911 Porsche boys, having started 13th in class, and you know, big hat tip to Sven Muller, a 41 lap stint,
and he's got them on the podium, finishing 3rd in class.
Starting
Great
on
job.
slicks in damp conditions as well. Fantastic job.
In a Porsche.
In a Porsche. And there we see race winner Ryo Hirakawa, the Keeper Tom's LC500, the number 37, and the championship lead. Flashing the lights all you want. You absolutely deserve that.
So going into our final race on November the 12th. Folks, click like, click subscribe, and rejoin us on November the 12th for what will be the championship finale of 2017 Super GT season. And what a season it has been.
An absolutely wonderful, wonderful race. Very few incidents. No safety car. I mean,
Brilliant.
So, considering how treacherous the conditions were at the start of this race, that is a wonderful effort as well.
Yeah, great job from all the drivers to stay safe and stop the chance of any safety cars. And of course, for the final race at Motegi, no weight penalty, so all the weight ballast comes out of the car, and we have a straight 250-kilometer dogfight for the championship.
I am also led to believe Sam Collins has actually won the bread baking competition in Suzuka this weekend.
What did he bake? Do you know?
It was a pumpkin seed sprinkled tiger loaf.
Awesome, awesome. And you can see that, you can hear the delight from the people in the background when news of that baking contest has made its way across to tropical Thailand.
I knew he had a talent. It's just great I finally found out what it is.
Awesome. Look at the body language between the drivers discussing the bread baking contest and, of course, their race victory today. A brilliant job from the guys. Really, really good. And look at Nick Cassidy's demeanour. He knows that he's now going into the final race of the championship at the top of one of the most toughest GT championships there is. That
is going to be a flat of, you know, completely opposing opposite emotions.
Yeah, you get the feeling he's buying the pizza on Wednesday, don't you? Because that is they play Dungeons and Dragons on a Wednesday night.
I can't imagine Jan Martin doing that.
It's not really Dungeons and Dragons. Of course, they're gamers. They're gamers. They play FIFA. There we go. Delight all round.
Has Jan actually finished GT Academy yet? Or GT Gran Turismo yet?
Not only has he finished Gran Turismo, of course, the new game will be launched soon as well, so looking forward to that. And there we have our GT300 winning Lexus RCF. So the LC500 taking the GT500 victory, and the RCF winning the 300 category.
And of course, seeing the performances of the Lexus at the start of this season, it has to be said that it probably will be advantage Lexus going into Motegi in 5 weeks' time. fantastic job. Fantastic job from the two Lexus teams. And that is the GMS. And I have to say, wonderful crowd here.
Huge crowd.
In Chang International Raceway today. Fantastic crowd.
Circuit has a capacity of 100,000 people. The main grandstand seating 50,000 of them, and you can not only see, you can hear a lot of them in the background there as our finishing cars form up in front of that main grandstand, stopping on the start-finish straight, and shortly now we'll be going into the podium ceremony.
See celebrations and photographs on the start-finish on the start-finish grid there. And some very, 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 very happy racing drivers, and we really are coming now to the tail end of this championship season. Only one race to go.
As I said earlier, one race to go and no weight penalty, so all the success ballast will be taken away for the final race. So we'll really see the true pace of the cars when they run around Montague for that 250-kilometre sprint.
And yeah, and it is only 250 kilometres, so that'll be a very, very, very quick race, Rob. That'll be.
It will. This 300-kilometre race today has flown by ever so quickly, and hopefully we'll be able to hear now from Nick Cassidy. Might have to do a spot of lip reading here. Delighted Sam Collins won the baking contest. Now, unfortunately, we're not getting the audio through from Nick Cassidy's English interview.
I think he's congratulating. He's just been told that Sam has won the bread baking competition, and Suzuki's actually congratulating him before going into his interview. But stellar first stint from Nick. That was absolutely brilliant, faultless.
Yeah, you can guess what he's saying in terms of, I just tried hard not to make a mistake, to keep my nose clean, to hand over to my teammate, to concentrate on damage limitation, and
of course they started on the wets tyres. I think they stopped in around lap 9 or 10. Then Nick carried the car for another 20-25 laps or something before handing over to Rio. So Nick dealt with the changeable conditions, and he dealt with them, as I said, absolutely superbly. Rio just took the car from him and just made absolutely certain of the lead. And just unfortunately, we had that late race misfortune for the Calsonic number 12 car.
Oh, that will be heartbreaking. The blue half of the Nismo garage. It's so unfortunate to have such a strong showing, qualifying on the front row, to be battling it out for a podium position all afternoon, and to break down with just over 6 miles or 10 kilometres to go.
Rio Hirakawa doing his interview at the moment.
All I had to do was drive around and not crash. The team did a great job. My teammate did a great job. And to be fair to Rio, yeah, it was pressure on, as I said at the time, Leigh, and I've been really, really impressed with both of them today.
His pace was good, actually, because he was lapping in the 125s. So, I mean, his pace was actually very, very, very good. I think it was at Mardenborough at one stage he did set the fastest lap. That was a 1 minute 25.49.
Yep.
Only half a tenth off the absolute fastest lap at his circuit. So he was Hirakawa was lapping in round the kind of late 125. So he was doing a very, very, very good job. This is the Masanori Sakia being the team director for Lexus team Keeper Tom's being interviewed.
He can be very proud of the job his boys did at the pit stop as well. Watching their pit stop, it was faultless. They're obviously very, very well drilled.
And just to note before I forget, the first team this year in GT500 to take 2 race wins.
Which shows what a great job the performance equalisation does in terms of the fuel flow restriction and the weight penalty.
As we see the winners of the GT300, that's Shotsubo to the right there, and Yuichi Nakayama, who did the first stint in the number 51 JMS RCF GT3. For second place in the GT300 was the Good Smile Hatsune Miku car, and I believe I believe that takes them to the top of the GT300 standings.
It will do, because coming into today, the pair that we're looking at being interviewed now were only 6th in the championship table, so this will have had a welcome late season injection of points.
It'll bring them. It'll bring the JMS boys further up the order, but that's a good haul. I think, off the top of my head, that brings the Good Smile team up to 70 points.
Wow.
So yeah, a decent haul, to say the least, for the new championship leaders in GT300.
So, how was it for you, Leigh?
I thought that was absolutely fantastic, and it was. We're seeing a lot of races this year. So we see the general manager Masahiko Kajiyama being interviewed as well. We've seen a lot of races that have been stopped at various stages for incidents, lots of safety cars. We've not had any safety car periods in this race. It's actually been a very good, clean run through. We had a couple of incidents where cars were retired at the side of the road, maybe gone off, and they were cleaned up quickly, efficiently. So the race was able to run in a very, very smooth manner. And you know what? It was hard racing.
And when you think about the conditions that we had on the grid 10 minutes before the start of the race, with that tropical downpour, and then the rate at which the track dried, so the racing line drying quite quickly, and all that standing water off it, there was scope for potential safety cars left, right and centre, and we didn't get that at all.
I think we did have the safety car stayed out for the formation laps at the start of the race, when and I think that looking back on it, it was probably more that we had such a late downpour that it was more of an acclimatisation rather than as we see the GT500 provisional result. It's the Keeper Tom's Lexus winning the race with Hirakawa and Nick Cassidy, the number 6 Wacos car, taking 2nd place. The Keihin number 17, the Keihin NSX GT guys there, 30 seconds behind. They took 3rd place, completing the podium with the number 38 Zempt LC500, 4th overall. The 36 AU Toms, 5th place. The number 1 Denso taking 6th place overall. And it was the number 100 Raybrig car took 7th place, and the winner of the provisional result is the GT300 classes, the JMS number 51 JMS RSF. We saw the guys interviewed on the grid there. 2nd place, the Good Smile Hatsune Miku car, coming only 5 seconds behind the class winners. And look at that, 3rd place, the number 33 D Station Porsche. They started 13th, kept Sven Muller out for 42 or 43 laps or something like that, and they finished 3rd result, held Sean Walkinshaw off at the towards the very end.
GT300 utterly dominated this weekend by the FIA GT3 cars.
And if you look in the as we say, so many different manufacturers in the GT300 class.
I'm hoping that we now see, as we look at that skyline, yes, here we are, the series ranking GT500 drivers, and as we speculated, Hirakawa and Cassidy moving up to the top of the table.
And then Oshima and Caldarelli 2nd with 63 points. And then the former championship leaders coming into this race, they've lost quite a bit, dropping down to 3rd. Only 8 points behind the championship leaders, so it's not a done deal at this stage. Rossiter, the number 36 AU, it's very much outside, especially as well, also the 38 guys. And in GT300, Taniguchi leading with 65 points.
And our race leaders coming up, as we thought, to jump all the way from 6th in the championship table to 2nd.
Absolutely, and it's Kurosawa and Gamu, the championship leaders, coming into this race, down to 3rd, now 13 points behind. That's an incredible loss of points in just one race. Now, as we said a few moments ago, with only 250-kilometre race left.
And both GT300 and GT500 championships still very much to play for. Not even a 2-horse race. It's going to be a 3-horse race in GT500 and a 4-horse race in GT300. So terrific. You're unwise to miss the final race of this series. It will be mega.
And we're going to see the podium in a few moments. But an awful lot of very, very excitable fans still here at the Chang International Circuit, just outside Buriram. It's not too far actually from the city. Buriram.
No, East Thailand. So yeah, very tropical climate, and yeah, provided some great racing today, and yeah, all very enthusiastic. Lots of the guys hanging around for the podium ceremony. Big K-Hin support here. Oh, some good cap waving. Oh, synchronised cap waving, Leigh. Look at that. You don't get that in British touring cars, do you?
I've not seen that since the Olympics. It is actually a class of sport in the Olympics, is cap waving.
Cap waving, awesome. Yeah. Looking down there, the Motul-sponsored Honda NSX. That was the car that Jenson Button drove at the last round at the Suzuka 1,000 kilometres. And what odds on seeing a certain young man from Froome back in this championship next year?
Jenson, there have been talks that he'll be committing to Super GT, but he's also kept himself open to other categories in America and Europe. Possible we'll see him, but which manufacturer? Because of course Jenson is still contracted to McLaren as an ambassador, as it were. But they're splitting from Honda at the end of this year. Suddenly, the manufacturer that Jenson may or potentially drive with, does that change? With McLaren signing up with Renault in Formula 1 next year, does that mean Jenson is going to be aligned to one of Renault's alliance partners?
Who knows?
It's a manufacturer that starts with an N, has 2 syllables, 6 letters, ends with an N. What could they possibly be?
I can't possibly think. I'm just looking at the synchronised fanning that's going on. The fans fanning themselves at the news that Jenson Button could be rejoining us next year. But also, I think one of the things we've got to look forward to in Motegi as well is we're going to see some DTM cars on track as well, as part of a demo run. Looking forward to the Class 1 regulations in a few years' time. But in Hockenheim next weekend for the DTM finale, we will have a 2016 GT-R GT500 driven by Ronnie Quintarelli. I think there's one other car. I'm not sure which other manufacturer will also be there, but we will have 2 Super GT500 cars demoing at Hockenheim next weekend. Looking forward to the future as we get ready for the podiums here for GT500 and then GT300. I think we're probably going to have a little round of applause here for the GT300 race winners as they make their way onto the podium. Everything very heavily branded with a delicious cold sparkly beverage.
What may that possibly be?
They've just opted to go for the single flag strategy here. It'll be very interesting to see if anybody opts for the controversial. Oh, look at that. Oh, I thought he was going to go for the double flag. I was mentioning the double flags, and here the D-Station Porsches. Sven Muller has put so much into his driving. No flags at all.
You think they'd share?
No flags at all. That's just so German. You know, driving a Porsche. Should we have Porsche flags? 9. And that's like, no, not 9 flags.
The trophies being handed out to the class winners. That is Shotsubushi and Yuichi Nakayama.
Terrific job from them. Brilliant. Really, really impressed. And Sven Muller, for me, driver of the day in GT300.
Absolutely. And trophies all round, smiles all round as well. And I don't think you'll find anyone even remotely disappointed on that podium. You have race winners, you have in second place the guys who are now leading the category, and in third place you have the guys who went from 13th to 3rd. I think there's going to be an awful lot of very happy people there.
Here we have the difficult to hold second trophy. Oh,
put the flag down. Put the flag down.
Flags either get tucked into caps or tucked into. I was going to say pockets, but they've gone for the flag in the belt. Must be because they're outside of the Japanese mainland that they've gone for the flag in the belt.
That is rather unfortunate.
And here is the also very, very hard to hold when you've got flags, 2 trophies, and now a giant cardboard check to hold. 500,000 yen. That will buy you a large cake. I would
think
imagine.
that will buy you Sam's bread, which I believe is now being marketed in stores all over UK and Europe.
And the next thing they're going to bring out to hold will be... do you think the boys have got their Lexus branded wheelbarrow handy to take away the paraphernalia from the podium? There we go.
And as well as that, I think Bridgestone will take quite a lot of good feeling from this as well, heading an awful lot of a heavily Yokohama field.
Very much so. 75% of our GT300 field running on the Yokohama tyres, and they're finishing in second and third.
Apparently 500,000 yen is £3,396.
And now some more sparkly beverages. Are we going to have... Yeah, there's discussions of spray. Nah, drink. Yeah, I think it was Sam that pioneered the drink first, spray later technique. So, no...
Anyway...
No squirting at all on the GT300 podium. The guys keep their race suits dry and they make their way off, and no